Today in Woburn. I'm your host, Samantha Stone. Today I have Scott Galvin with us. Welcome, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you.
First of all, I have to give a huge shout out to Woburn Public Media Center. They raised $21,375 through the telethon for social concern this past weekend.
Great job. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, it was awesome. So great to see. And then with that happy news, I want to just go to COVID, which isn't always happy news, although I think our numbers are in the city remain fairly strong. Is that true?
Yeah, they dropped down below 3, in the high 2s, and the cases keep coming down, which is good. And we keep doing our testing, like we said last week. We continue to offer the testing to residents and employees, which is good. We did another vaccine clinic, which unfortunately will be our last first dose clinic.
I was going to ask you about that. You read my mind.
It's really disappointing, but the governor has a plan, and it's a plan to get mass doses more efficiently done. So he's got a plan, and he's going to execute that to get the most people done he can. It's disappointing at the local level where the Board of Health has worked so hard, and the MRC has worked so hard to be prepared for this time when a pandemic comes. And we were doing really well executing and holding clinics for our 75 plus, and we had hoped that we were going to continue to go right along with the 65 and then the general population, and be a more convenient, comfortable place where people know you, a little less hype. And so unfortunately, right now, the governor's, until he gets more vaccine, we're going to be doing more targeted work in conjunction with the state to help out. We're doing housing. The Woburn Housing Authority will be doing a clinic for them next week. We'll do homebound, which are harder to get. So we'll be filling in the gaps for the state. But again, we're ready to take on a greater role as we've been prepared to do. So,
and transportation is an issue for many people who are not able to easily get to some of these other sites. I know that the Woburn Senior Center offers some transportation programs. Do I have that correct?
Well, they were, when we were doing the clinics at the Senior Center, they were actually picking people up who couldn't get there. So that was another good combination. The Senior Center's been working really well, doing a ton of work with Marie and Megan Rodriguez and Michelle Daly, the group up there with Joyce Parker. They're doing a great job supporting the efforts, and part of it was transportation. But we'll see how we can, if there's a way for us to help those who can't get to some of these bigger sites. We still have the van service, so maybe there's a way we can help out there. So we're going to continue to look for different ways to help.
Yeah, and maybe there'll be some group of vaccinated residents who can help give rides.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we want to be careful about connecting people and all that, but
and look at it. The whole thing is that when there's not enough vaccine being distributed from the federal government down to the state, so the state again has to make decisions to get the most bang for their buck, and that's what they're doing. But as more gets produced and more gets put into population, I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to do some more.
Help out some more. You guys have done amazing work, and so for those, just to make sure, ease minds, those who already had a first dose, you will still be able to deliver their second dose. Is that correct?
They're guaranteed by the governor. Is guaranteed anybody who was given a first dose before March 1st will be guaranteed the second dose at the local clinic. So anybody who has been, and there's been over 500 seniors that we vaccinated, they'll all be getting their second dose in Woburn at the Senior Center.
Right. So just don't want anybody to worry. That will be.
And it's really, we're going to have to keep getting that message out, because the message does get mixed somewhere, but they will definitely be vaccinated at the Senior Center.
Good. And we continue to do testing on Saturdays, or
yes.
Are we done with that at this point?
No, we're gonna keep doing it. The numbers go down, and I think we had 250, and it was February vacation. There were 250 tests we did. There was only one positive, which is really pretty good, pretty incredible. So that bodes well for the city as well.
Okay. And I imagine that, there'll be a pretty high, well, maybe not, but I would imagine this week there might be people coming back from vacations and things that might take extra advantage.
So we'll be doing again next week.
Okay. Couple little sort of housekeeping things. So city censuses went out for folks. I don't know if everybody received them, but I know I did.
Yeah.
I'm sure others have. Just for those who don't understand why this is so important, I thought it might be helpful to just explain how that data is used, to
Uh,
let them know that.
That's a good question for the clerk. I can just give you an overview, but I think he'd be the best one to bring on, but it really helps for, um, the federal one is the big one. That was already done, the federal census, and that's important for, representation in Congress and the number of reps we get and the federal aid that we get based on the population. So that's a very important one. This one, I think the local one Bill uses for, again, for local division, I think of, um, you know, um, voting districts and
Yeah.
population and whatnot. But Bill would be the best one to get on for the local, and I'm sure he'd be on next week if you asked him.
Good. We'll reach out to Bill and get that scheduled to answer questions. And people can drop that off right at City Hall. You can put it in the mail if you want to, but if you don't want to, there's I was in City Hall doing getting some things notarized, so I dropped it off and it was super easy, which was great. The other little thing I want people to know about is there's a snow sculpture contest happening through the Woburn Rec right now. So people should enjoy it before I think Wednesday, we're supposed to get like 50-degree weather. So a lot of that snow might be melting. We'll have to see. I want to talk a little bit about the library. So we've had a lot of staff changes. The administration resigned, I think, unfortunately, without any real notice. And so there's been some disruptive to programs that were in place.
Yes.
Just wanted to get an update on where we at in terms of recovering that information we need to keep those things running and, sort of temporary measures to keep everything going. I know there was a lot of staff who were jumping in and eager to help close gaps and do everything they can.
Yeah. So that's a good summary. The director and the assistant director left, and without even turning off the lights, so to speak. We were kind of shocked at the abruptness of it. But in any event, we as you had mentioned, the staff stepped up. I've been going over there on a daily basis, meeting with the staff, and they're excited about the opportunity. We have been in touch with someone to step in as an interim director, who will be back March 7th. And so we're expecting we're excited about the changes, and we're going to be closing at 5:30 instead. We won't be open for the next 2 weeks. We'll be closing. There's a number of things that we have to look into as far as, books that have been accumulating, and the staff again has stepped up to really has stepped up in a good way to be ready to make some positive changes. So it's an exciting time. And I think we've got a clear path ahead of us. And with the interim director, I've worked with him in the past. He's excellent. We're excited about having him come back and work until the end of June, and we'll get a new director in, get the trustees on board, and as soon as the legislation's passed, and get the programming back going, get children's librarian back on board, get a teen librarian like we spoke about. So it's exciting, but as you said, it was a little uncertain, but the staff has really, like I said, stepped up, and they're excited about new direction.
Good. Well, we'll all try and be a little patient with the changes. And for those who have been registered for things, if you're not getting information, just call the library and they'll give you the latest update. And there'll be a little bit of some temporary, but it sounds like we have a good solution coming on board in just a couple of weeks to help organize us, which is fantastic. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, Scott, before we go is we haven't talked about this in a long time, but the Woburn Ledges project, and we know that there's a lot of history there. I don't want to recap all the history there. We know that the city tried to, stop the project. That it was overruled in courts. We had to move forward, but there was some permitting for retaining walls that was approved, and there's been a lot of activity, and I think people are uncertain about what's going on. So that was a good point to just check in and see if you had any updates about where things are at and what's happening there.
I really don't have any updates about it. I could come in next week and talk more about it, but it's moving ahead. They did, as you had mentioned, they obtained a permit for retaining wall, which was within the permit, I believe. And we can talk more about specific questions. But I haven't heard really haven't heard much about it. The blasting used to be a concern. I know that, every time there is blasting, that is a concern, but we haven't heard much in a while up there. But I'm sure with the spring coming and, the next step when they begin building, that's when, it's going to be a disruption again. It's obviously a noisy site. So we'll keep an eye on it and keep moving forward. But, the reality is that the project's coming. It's not a great site, never was a great site to begin with. And that's been the problem. That's caused the disruption, but they will be building the units up there. And, the market's hot. There's a real need for residential, and that's going to be one of the spots.
Good. Well, thanks for the update. And if we
Yeah.
learn anything more, we can chat more about it. That's all the stuff I wanted to cover, Scott. Great, quick update for us. Last week we had a really long show because there was so much going on. So I wanted to keep things a little bit tighter this week. Thanks for joining us as always. Anything else you want to cover off on before we hop off?
Just to follow up on the recreation. I know you talk about those snowshoes. I tried to get up here and they were all out. So your idea was great.
Well, I got 2 more pairs today that Rory's picking up tomorrow, 2 more adults. So we'll now be in good shape.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of tracks around up on Haunt Pond Mountain and over on the golf course. So people are using them, and it's a great idea. So thank you.
Yeah, it's really such a pleasure to see everybody enjoying it. And hopefully that's, these will last another season at least, if not more than that. So hopefully people use it while we still got snow. So we got a little, couple more weeks at least, I hope. So.
And so next week we can maybe get Bill for the census.
Perfect.
Get more updates on what's happening with COVID, and also if you want to give me some specific questions, we can talk about the ledges, get better information on that for you.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll send you some questions ahead of time on that, just so we can get the right folks involved in answering those questions. I've been getting a few, and we'll invite Bill on as well. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Yep.
Perfect. And thank you for all of you who are watching. As always, continue to take good care of each other.